The Culture is an interstellar society that features in several Ian M. Banks space opera novels and other works of short fiction that are collectively called the Culture series. Within the series, the Culture is a civilization of sentient beings comprised of human and humanoid aliens, artificial intelligence sentient machines, and other sentient alien life forms. With a society like the Culture, one that's advanced, post-scarcity, and largely self-indulgent, there aren't many real threats to its continued existence. Occasionally, however, it will come across what is commonly referred to as an outside context problem. In the novel Accession, published in 1996, the story follows how the Culture deals with an outside context problem, or an OCP, describing it as the kind of problem most civilizations would encounter just once, and which they tended to encounter rather in the same way a sentence encountered a full stop. So what exactly is an OCP? An OCP is quite literally a problem that occurs outside the context of knowledge, meaning it can't be anticipated. The capacity to conceive of or consider the OCP in the first place may not even be possible, or might be very limited, because there may not be sufficient knowledge or the ability to realise that the OCP can arise. The outside context problem can be compared to the black swan theory, which is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise, has a major effect, and is often inappropriately rationalised after the fact with the benefit of hindsight. The term is based on an ancient saying that presumed black swans did not exist, a saying that became interpreted to teach a different lesson after they were in fact discovered in Australia. An example of an OCP could be a civilization that does not consider the possibility that a much more technologically advanced society can exist, and then encounters one. Because it considered this impossible, it is totally unprepared to deal with it. The term outside context problem was coined by Banks in Accession and is described as follows. The usual example to illustrate an outside context problem was imagining you were a tribe on a largish, fertile island. You tamed the land, invented the wheel or writing or whatever, the neighbours were cooperative or enslaved, but at any rate peaceful, and you were busy raising temples to yourself, with all the excess productive capacity you had. You were in a position of near absolute power and control, which your hallowed ancestors could hardly have dreamed of, and the whole situation was just running along nicely like a canoe on wet grass, when suddenly this bristling lump of iron appears sailless and trailing steam in the bay, and these guys carrying long funny looking sticks come ashore and announce you've just been discovered. You're all subjects of the Emperor now, he's keen on presents called tax, and these bright-eyed holy men would like a word with your priests. The Culture had experienced a number of minor OCPs that might have proved to be fatal if they'd been handled in the incorrect way, but it had managed to survive them all. The Culture's ultimate OCP was thought to be something along the lines of a galaxy-consuming, hegemonizing swarm, a group of self-replicating entities with no purpose beyond expanding, an angered elder civilization, a technologically advanced civilization that has retreated from the larger galactic meta-civilization, or a visit by aliens from a neighbouring galaxy. The Culture lived with real OCPs constantly in the shape of the sublimed, civilizations that have abandoned their physical existence in favour of becoming beings of energy. But waiting for the real OCP was a concern for a number of people and minds in the Culture who, quote, were determined to find the threat of catastrophe even in utopia. This is where the Interesting Times Gang comes in. The Interesting Times Gang, also known as Ghosts, is a mind incident group, a group of minds who come together to solve a particular problem faced by the Culture. The Interesting Times Gang is labelled High Power, and they come together when needed to handle complex situations that are considered a threat to the Culture, taking over a standard mind incident group within real-time seconds. It's the heavy crew, it's the Ghosts. There were names appearing there I hadn't seen for 5 centuries. Some of those minds are legends, probably the most respected, not to mention enigmatic group of minds ever assembled together in the same signal sequence since the end of the Adiran War. Members of the Interesting Times gang during the novel Accession include the Incident Coordinator, a medium systems vehicle called Not Invented Here, which at the time was almost 2,000 years old and was thought to have been lost half a millennium ago. You're saying these minds are discussing something, agreeing to something that's so sensitive, so secret they won't even talk about it in special circumstances, top-end code, the fucking holy of holies, the unbreakable, inviolable, totally secure M32. No, I'm just saying it's semi-possible. The drone's aura field flickered grey with frustration. In that event though, I don't think it would be breakability they'd be worried about. What then? Sage's eyes narrowed. Deniability? If we're thinking in such paranoid terms in the first place, yes, that'd be my guess, the drone said, dipping its front once in a nod and making a noise like a sigh. So they're up to something. Well, they're up to a lot by the sound of it, but it's just possible that some part of what they're up to might be, well, risky. Risky, she said. She shook her head and felt a strange urge to shiver, which she suppressed. Shit. Don't you hate it when the gods come out to play? In a word, the drone said, yes.